morning. So, one of the things that I've learned over the last couple of weeks as it relates to feedback from you students, um, some folks are feeling um, like they need a little bit more help with the article critique and the reflection. I did post some videos at the in the first week, but I don't think I went into as much detail, and because of that, I think I caused you some angst that I assure you I did not mean to cause. So I thought, because this is Holy Week, because we have an article of a little bit smaller size, we're halfway through, and I want to make this a constructive kind of exercise for you. I thought we'd actually spend a little bit more time talking, first of all, about what the article critique form looks like, what I've got in mind, and I'm going to post everything that I'm telling you today. I'm going to also post in the classes so that you can see what I'm going over here. Okay, and in fact, as you're watching this video, if you want to pause and go to the resources in the class shell and find these documents, that would be great. So what I'm going to post is I'm going to post an article that I wrote for a presentation at the Society for Pentecostal Studies in 2017. I'm going to post a mock article critique of that particular piece, and the only thing that you'll see is the critique section is not expanded. Just a little note about how that would be typically the longest part of the article critique. And then I'm also going to post another document that gives you some guiding questions for the article critique that may help you as you're trying to navigate that. Now, many students are doing fine with this, and they may feel like, this is not something you need. I understand that, but at the same time, I think we can always get better at what we do. And so maybe it would be worth it, and maybe my comments about the article for this week would be of some help to you. So that's what we're going to do for this week. Again, for Christians, it's Holy Week. Easter is this coming Sunday, and this might be a good way to do a little bit of a reset. So, pardon me, turning first to the article critique form. Now, obviously, we need your name, and I'd like for you to make sure that you tell me who the writer of the article is and the name of the article, and that's been fine. One of the places where students have struggled is in the article thesis. So I want to reiterate what I want from you about that is, I believe the article's thesis, or the writer's thesis, or the author's thesis, however you want to word that, I believe the writer's thesis is X, and then give me a direct quote from the article itself. Not a summary of what you think the article is about. I don't want that. If I wanted a summary, I can ask for a summary. I want us to make sure that we're looking for how the writer sets up his or her goal, and that is in the thesis, what they are going to try to prove. It's the guiding statement for the rest of the article. If you go to the conclusion and find a thesis there, that's really too late. The article's thesis should be in the introductory matter. Now, you may say, well, I have trouble identifying it in the introductory matter. That itself can be a weakness later in the article critique form, right? Sometimes writers are very clear about what their thesis is, and sometimes they're not as clear. And when they're not as clear, that can be problematic for the reader, because then you're wondering where is this going? And I'm one that when I write, I want to make it really clear what my thesis is, because I want my readers to know that. I want them to be able to say, okay, this is what Ragsdale's trying to prove in this particular piece, or this is the argument that he's making in this particular piece of writing. And without that, sometimes we can be lost. And I just think it's helpful. I think it's good writing, but I think it's good writing for you as you are, working on your papers throughout your education. think it's good writing for reports that you might have to do at the hospital. You know, give it to me. Let me know what is it you're trying to prove. And that, when I'm trying to work on your reading skills, my students' reading skills, I want you, especially when you're outside your discipline, as many of you are with this kind of reading, I want you to be able to say, this is what I think the thesis is. And I will say that sometimes we disagree about that. And when we get into the article for today, or for this week, I'm going to talk about that a little bit, because I see that there are a couple of sentences that could be the thesis, and then there's a third competitor. So see, when I'm grading that, then I'm saying, well, the student is telling me what they believe the thesis is, and that method is more important to me than what your conclusion is. It's that kind of reading. It's that kind of attention to detail that I'm looking for. Process over product. And I know that can be really, really hard sometimes. For those of us in the humanities, and humanities would be like religion, theology, English, history, let's see, I said history, modern languages, ancient languages, all of those kinds of disciplines, philosophy, to be sure, all of those kinds of disciplines, we are interested in process as much as we're interested in product, and maybe a little bit more. For us, a right answer is an elusive thing, right? And so we're comfortable in that space. Everybody isn't comfortable in that space. You may not be comfortable in that space, and I respect that. But that is why we're trying to go through this. I'm welcoming you into my world, and sometimes you make an argument. This is what I think the thesis is, and I could say I think it's something else, but I respect your process, and you get the grade. And believe me, none of us, I don't know any professor that likes grading, because sometimes it's time consuming, but it's not just the time consuming, especially for those of us in theology or in humanities, speaking more broadly. We see that the student could be making an argument in a way that it causes us to think, well, maybe my understanding here hasn't been exactly accurate. And I grow and I learn. Every one of these article critiques that you all do, there's something that sticks out to me, and I learn something about reading and my own limitations in reading. So continue to do them, find that article thesis, and we'll come back in the next video and talk about strengths and weaknesses.